In this video, I'll talk about details of this diagram. In an earlier video, I mentioned the term ecosystem in education. The more I study educational scenarios, the more I have become confident that we must look at and understand education at an ecosystematic level. Ecosystematic views of education can help you understand failures and successes of education models and learning environment designs. Although our focus is not biological science, what I have learned in education can be often explained in biological or organic views. In fact, I'll even view a learning model or innovation idea as a species. Throughout this course, I'll even use terms such as evolution, extinction, resistance, immune system, DNA, and viral mutations. You'll not be surprised to realize that such phenomena can be witnessed in education. Let's take a look at the diagram in details. I listed technology, content, pedagogy, and value. Why do I think these are most important elements to consider in designing an educational technology solution? Here's why. If anyone is considering designing, developing, implementing, evaluating, and sustaining an educational technology project, these overarching components should be considered to bolster your plan at every step. Focusing on only one of these components probably will not lead to successful outcomes. Technology. Technology can certainly be an enabling agent. Technology can create new possibilities, but technology alone cannot ensure success. Let me share with you what I've seen. I've seen a project that involved in deploying a large set of notebook computers and projectors to schools in an extremely underserved region where electricity was not available. Someone thought that solar cell panels could be installed or diesel power generator could be set up to power the school. The assumption was that if notebooks and projectors are powered, teachers and students would use them for teaching and learning purposes. However, such dream was not realized in that particular community. What I have noticed was that the small solar cell panel installed barely kept the teacher's cell phone charged and a few LED lights to lit up. Powering multiple projectors at a usable level wasn't really possible. When someone used a projector for 2 minutes, that was it for the whole school, for the whole day. The 2 minutes of projection time drained the batteries hooked up to the solar cell panels. When we talk about solar cell panels as a potential source of electricity, we must do our homework with lots of precise calculations and must consider the context and environment where such solution will be deployed. Different energy sources clearly have different purposes. The use of inadequate scale solar cell panels to power a school was a naive idea in this particular case. Even if the sponsoring organization installed a large-scale solar cell farm for an enormous amount of cost, the return on investment would be quite doubtful in this particular context. In another place where there was a diesel power generator, the local people could not afford to keep paying for the fuel. Also, there was no technician who was able to service the engine. I can come up with numerous more real examples where a huge amount of money was invested for no outcomes because there was no link between the research lab and the real context on the ground. At the end, such projects made no difference in education whatsoever. Technology was innovative only in research labs or only in theories. Content. Unless content is going to be generated regionally or locally, your designed content must be applicable and contextualized to be meaningful for your project and the constituencies of the local ecosystem. I've seen projects involving a lot of books collected from developed countries and given to developing regions. It sounds quite intriguing, but think about the cost of transporting containers of books between continents and going through customs and finally through local transportations. The cost is enormous, but outcome is unknown. In addition, I have seen some children books with illustrations of children baking cookies with ovens in the kitchen and bathing in jet tubs in the bathroom. Picture this. These children's stories land in the hands of children who never seen a water faucet at home and who sleep with goats on their half-covered roof at home. And those children who walk 4 hours to fetch water that is full of toxins and pathogenic germs. Will such donated books and descriptions of unfair blessings in this world would be educational? I'm not quite sure. If your learning technology used such contents, it would be the same case. Simply translating your content into the local language is not localization in education projects. Again, I can come up with many examples that did not carefully consider the content side of the educational project. In short, an education technology project without clear content plans can hardly be an educational technology project. It's not just a localization involving translation, it's the contextualization that's needed. Again, instead of saying 2 bowls of cereal with blueberries, you may have to say 2 bowls of uji with the scotty and a cup of chai. If you don't have a clue on what on earth I'm talking about here, post your question, and I'm sure our friends will help post more examples of contextualized content plans. Pedagogy. I see far too many projects that deploy hardware, but without any pedagogical model whatsoever. I guess people were hoping that teachers on the ground somehow would magically come up with reasons and ways to use such technology and enhance teaching and learning. People might have thought that technology was the only missing piece. Such dreams have not been fulfilled. What does pedagogy mean? It's from Greek roots pais and ago. Pais means child, the learner, and ago means to lead. You could say andragogy if you want to refer to helping adults to learn. Oftentimes, we simply use the term pedagogy to mean purposeful strategies for helping students learn effectively. Why is pedagogy so important? We see many technology projects in the education sphere. Many of them do not have a pedagogical model associated with the technology being implemented. Many technology tools, including laptops and tablets, are purchased and given to teachers without clear pedagogical models. I call these technology projects not education projects. A pedagogical model is a critical element in an educational technology project. A model should present how the technology can be used to address specific learning needs in particular circumstances. Obviously, there are some universally acceptable practices for learners. However, oftentimes, due to idiosyncratic conditions or cultures or long inherited social DNA, one successful learning model in one location may not be successful in other locations or regions or classrooms. Developing a successful pedagogy and educational technology solution is not a simple matter. It takes a lot of studying, design thinking, and testing. When hardware is barely functioning, content is so foreign, and no clear pedagogical model is suggested, there's no magical outcomes expected at the end. A clear, meaningful, and feasible pedagogical model must be in place to nurture student learning and catalyze best teaching practices in an education ecosystem. Interestingly, many governments around the world continue to invest in education technology projects without pedagogical models. Value. What do I mean by value? This is probably the most important component in an educational technology project and in an education ecosystem. When an education technology project is to be designed and implemented in a place, all constituencies in such ecosystem must be identified. Students, parents, teachers, principals, superintendents, ministers, local universities, and local private sectors, and so on. As a designer, you must find out what their value perceptions are. See if they are on the same page with their project or solution. If they do not value your solution, your project will most likely to face insurmountable challenges along the way. Once I was in one of the least developed regions around the world, I faced a community leader who told me not to do anything that would improve the schools in the region. He said most parents do not want their children to be educated. In fact, I found out that many parents I met did not want their children to be wasting time in schools that gave no value. Students were taught by teachers who barely finished high school and had no materials. Teachers showed up only once in a while, yet collected paychecks every month from the government. As for parents, children wasting time in such school meant they are losing the necessary labor force needed in the farms. I left the community and have not gone back yet. I'm still struggling to figure out a way to get their children educated with quality learning programs. I'd like to challenge those children. I'd like to show them what they could achieve in their lives. I would like to see doctors, professors, engineers, and astronauts out of them. One day, I want to be back in there and help change the perceptions of the parents about schools and also change those schools drastically. Let's sum up. The point I'm making here is that an education technology project must carefully consider not only technology options, but more importantly, content plans, pedagogical models, and most importantly, value perceptions of the constituencies in the target ecosystem. Also, you must be aware that everything in your ecosystem must evolve. Technology always advances, contents must be updated, and pedagogical models must be enhanced to reflect the best practices of the time. Also, people's perceptions can and do change over time. When you consider all these matters, your solution design will be much more robust and ultimately much more sustainable. You're not just joining a class. You are joining together to make a difference in education systems around the world. We're going to design a new learning environment that can lead students to learn, create, and preserve shared peace and prosperity for all. Let's imagine a new learning environment. Once again, if we can imagine, we can make it happen. Thanks for watching.